Seriously, and I thought I had a good week. Look at this overall score now from Hugger Clan. A massive move this week from Dylan. 11,702 total points, and the score for the week, 816. Absolutely incredible, and pretty much everything went right, except for really Nat Butcher. So Robson as captain was awesome. Had Elliott in there, brought in Crichton, had Burton, had Ruben Garrick in there. Obviously, Starling held on to that one, but plenty of obviously playing players there. So 4 in the interchange, just missed the 1 in the game. So 16 players overall. Obviously, it's going to make it fairly difficult heading into round 17, but creating this kind of buffer in round 13 and potentially having a fair bit of trades in the bank would be ideal, obviously, to be able to trade heavy into round 17 and create that final squad. But an amazing week at 816, you can't really complain about that. And looking at squad values now, so mine, obviously, I had a much better week, obviously. Moved from 30 to 50 overall rank down to 1,714. So much more respectable, thank goodness. I had 14 playing and used the 3 trades, and we'll speak about that in a second. But my squad value took a nice bump, thankfully. Just under 13 million now, which isn't great, but overall we're doing okay there. And the 2 top teams have 13.687 and 13.76 there. So for Lucan, had a really nice week as well at 851 is absolutely incredible. So this team you see here had a full 17 playing, which is absolutely incredible there. And if you look at the guys that are not, they're all Origin players here. So if we're looking towards round 17, this person has 0 people playing for round 17 there, which is very, very tough, but shows what this person has been trying to do over the last bunch of weeks, and that's set himself up for this round 13 bye, and then it's just going to try and work it out from there. Obviously, if you have a bunch of trades left, you can trade pretty heavy and maybe get to about 10 players potentially. What you do have is 4 trades every week, but if you're to do that now, so around 14, 15, 16, and 17, there's 16 trades to be used, but the majority of people aren't going to be having that many trades available. So if you've traded, looks like this team's traded heavy to get to this 17 in round 13, there could be a few things to worry about heading into round 17. So, really dominated this week to probably have some struggles over, that bunch of weeks there. And, having some marginal guys in Tavanga there, Nat Butcher, Sexton as potential sort of midi okay guys, bringing in for Talon Mariner, so basically taking that punt there. Got Starling to deal with, for example, but, guys like Robson and Crichton, Tohu, Burton, they're all going to be doing great over the next bunch of weeks. So they're really interesting ones, but the majority of team values are sitting around that 13.3, 13.4. Obviously, nice one down here from Amanda at 13.779. So a lot of good scores here. You can see in the high 600s, high 700s for a bunch of them. Obviously, Will was our leader last week, and you see this team here, obviously, falls back into 6th spot and gives up about 140 in points there. But this team here had, what do we have here? Only, what does that make it? 1, 2, 5 out. Yeah, so 12 playing this week, which is a little bit more normal and is going to go a lot better in round 17 than what these other teams are going to do. So this, Will Day is not going to be losing out overall. He'll be fine come round 17 and hopefully creating a really good squad into round 18. So I just wanted to go through that there. I thought it was pretty interesting based on the bunch of moves that can happen in one round when, my team, I made a lot of ranks this week, going obviously 1,500 ranks, improving, pretty much halving my overall rank there. And I managed to pick up a score of about 680, which finally comes up, 680 on the dot. Yeah, so around 13 rank of 2,073. You see those scores there. They're all in the top sort of 50 in terms of overall scores this week for guys that are actually playing properly and not just making the team the last few weeks. So yeah, 680 for my squad there. Obviously, Starling's the annoying one. Karadas hasn't been a great input, but has made a little bit of cash. I'm hoping for a big game this week. Thankfully for my team, I had Elliott, I had Savage that came in, I had Tamalolo and Maxi King, for example. Now, Butcher and Tohu, the big issues there with Harris as captain. If I was to captain Manu, for example, or even Angus Crichton, we gain that 30 or extra 50 points and really propel ourselves into about the 1,200, 1,300 mark, which is pretty crazy what you can do in, just in a couple of weeks there, or even 1 week in round 13. So, really happy with how we ended up here after, a bunch of pretty average weeks, for 6 or 7 weeks there. We're, sitting around that 1,000 or so mark and have been, pushed back to 3,000 there. So if we're looking into the future, I did say in one of my recent videos that I'd have 6 or 7 available for for round 17, and I believe I was counting a couple of Origin guys. So definitely we have Ilias, McInnes, and Penasini ready for round 17 if I decide to hold all three of them. And then potentially Hines, if he doesn't make that top 18, then we'll get him for round 17 as well, for example. But everyone else will be out unless they happen to get dropped from Origin, for example. But I doubt that Cleary or any of these guys are going to get dropped. And Dylan Brown. So I have 4 players available for round 17 at the moment, and I'd be looking somewhere between the 10 to 13 mark heading into that point. So currently with 13 trades remaining, we're looking to use probably 7 or 8, well, let's say maybe 9 at most to get us to that 10 to potentially 12 with injuries, suspensions, misses, things like that could come up in this time. So that's something that you guys all have to think about. And I have obviously a few targets in mind. If Starling isn't going to be getting the starting team and getting bigger minutes, then we have to trade him out. And Reed Mahoney is obviously a very clear target, and I have enough in the bank, 183, to go straight to Reed. Another guy I'm looking at is Papali'i, which is obviously super important at the 913k mark. He's going to be playing the rest of the year and has been scoring incredibly well. We have to try and build to him at some point. So I think I could get to him if I use 3 trades this week, but I probably don't exactly want to do that. There's a few cheaper options that we'll talk about as well. Potentially, I don't even believe that I'm going to say this, but Cody Ramsey's a potential pickup at a cheap, low 300s price. But yeah, this is a team. It's doing all right. I'm pretty happy where we're at, and we'll while we're here, let's move on to the head-to-head squad. That'll be a fun one to look at because we actually dropped a few ranks, unfortunately. Not too much, but we did. There we are. Okay, so here we are for the head-to-head squad, and we finally have a picture there, and of course we had to put the great man Ruben Garrick on there as our profile picture. We picked him up. He picked up a 70 for us. We had 13 playing this week, so overall, not a ridiculous score at 628. We lost a few ranking points, and that was mainly just based on how well everyone went in the last game of the round. Joey Manu, for example, Adam Elliott, Xavier Savage are 3 guys that come to mind, along with Angus Crichton, captainers, Joey Manu, captainers. So there's a few bits and pieces there that cooked us, but again, really happy with how the trade-ins went. We had Garrick, we've had Burton the whole time. Kurt Falls with a 51, obviously was pretty well matched by Xavier Savage as the potential other option, and Crichton as captain was solid as well. So just missed out on, obviously, Joey Manu, but yeah, it's 17 points. It's not the end of the world. And guys like Adam Elliott, for example, as well. So it's going to be interesting going into this week how it all plays out. Obviously, I have a lot of strong players in this team. We've got Cotter, Haas, Papali'i, Hines, Cook, and Tedesco all sitting there. And if they can all back up in some capacity, then we're going to continue to do really, really well. If we're looking at the ranking, we're happy with the 25 ranking. In terms of team value, we're sitting pretty as well, so 13.38 million. And yeah, we'll work out how many trades we're going to use this week because we do have 15 in the bank. I'm seeing a lot of teams without that many trades available, so we can really push hard over this next bunch of weeks. With suspensions, with injuries, we won't have to hold guys. If they're out for a couple of weeks, we could probably trade them out and trade pretty heavy to get to a great score. Great scores over this next few weeks, but then into 17 as well. And if we're looking to look at our how we're going in the heads-to-heads, we'll see if any of them actually played this week in around 13. So we had this first one here got 628 versus 246, and a nice win in all of the matchups there, which is really cool. So our lowest ranking at the moment is 3rd, which we probably should be with how good we've been going. In terms of overall ladders, we're 8th in the Talking League Cup, 6th in the OTL Cup, and then 14th in our league there, which is great, to see that 25th overall and 14th in my own league. So obviously great weeks from a bunch of these guys. A 944 here from Ants. So just a little shout out to all these guys in the top 5 there. Luke and William. We got Will, we got Peter, Ants, and then 6th, 7th, and 8th there for Morgan, Jacob, and Dent. So very, very interesting how all these guys have been going, and well done to all those guys there. Good stuff. So we'll head back into the squad there and speak about a little bit more depth. As I said, we've got plenty of the guns available, and that's just show with all the high team value that we've picked up over the last bunch of weeks. And good thing for us here, if Cook does back up, we could move Starling onto a non-hooking option. We also have Cotter there as well to cover when he comes back in and play, and hopefully he can back up as well. In terms of guys that we would be potentially looking to move on, depending on the role that Butcher plays, he could be a guy at 592 that we could use to trade on. But then the other questions come around with Tungor, May, Karaz as to what we want to do with them. If we've got Peoples there at 305 is probably a good chance of not playing in 17, so we could potentially move him on as a sideways trade potentially for a Rams if we wanted to go that way. If a cheapie comes up, for example, we could do that. But other than that, we'd want to be keeping as many of these guns as possible, obviously to do really well in overall, but also head-to-head going into the last bunch of rounds. If we can trade heavy on all these middle of the run guys that aren't super special and hold all those top guns, and we'll from round 18 and 19 onwards, we're going to have a really strong side and be able to dominate those rounds. And that's obviously what's been helping us the last bunch of weeks. We have a lot of strong top tier players that have been propelling us along, and that's something that all you guys should be thinking about, is really just trying to build your final squad now. Round 17 is going to be an opportunity for a couple of cash outs that we could use for one round. A good score in 17 or potentially 17 and 18 if guys don't back up. So think about that over the next bunch of weeks as to what the teams that will be playing, for example, what Origin guys are missing and potentially what cash outs are going to come out of that section. So yeah, there's the head-to-head squad. We'll move on to the people squad now. Okay, so the people squad is where it gets a little bit interesting. We had a 578 this week, so not a perfect score overall. Unfortunately, we weren't able to bring in a Garrick or a Joey Manu, and that cooked us along with the Tohu Harris captaincy. So yeah, the 578, not ideal, but we do sit, if we look forward, with a 15 trades remaining, similar to, same as the head-to-head squad, and 271k in the bank. So if you look at our team value to go along with that, we've got the 12.73 plus the 271 gives us obviously around that 13 mil mark. So look, not as good as where the head-to-head team's at, but that makes sense given they're 25th overall. And means we've got one less gun than they do currently. And with that 270k, there's a few things that we can do heading into this week. Our main issue is going to be Davi Moale and Peoples. And hopefully Davi plays in 17, for example, because I don't see the point in moving him on. Peoples might be a guy that we could use to move on at this point, given he has a little bit more value that we can utilize, the 305 compared to the 220. So probably leaving Davi will be the way we have to go in this one. Thankfully, our Papali'i has been doing great for us all year. He'll come straight back in. And there'll be obviously be a few guys to potentially move on, Starling being one of them. We don't have that cover in the hooking position, so we'll probably have to go up to a Reed. I'd imagine will be a standard pickup for us, and then we can go from there with our other trades this week. And having 15 in the bank is obviously pretty nice. But we got a nice score out of Jackson at 54 and Savage with 52 there. So the trade-in of Angus Crichton was nice, along with Savage. So we got a 60 and a 52. We can't really complain with those trade-ins. It's just going to be how we maneuver and really dominate heading into these next bunch of rounds to get back to that top 100, which we obviously were 95th heading into the last week, and now it's to 159. So not ridiculous, but we did leave a little bit on the table in terms of our salary, and then only made the two trades where, as you can see, a bunch of those top 10 teams, for example, had 16 and 17 playing in round 13, and they've dominated, and then they're going to have a little bit of a struggling time heading into 17, whereas that will be a round that we can dominate here with the people squad there. So hopefully guys like Teddy back up, because for the people squad, for example, if Teddy backs up, I mean Banu moves back to the centers. If Teddy doesn't, then teams like mine will help. Obviously will help them out that don't have Teddy and have Manu, for example. There's going to be a few of them around for sure. So that's really all we had to say around the people squad. It's got, the trades that we're thinking of and the potential guys to move on are very similar in Starling, Butcher. I think we've got to hold guys like Max King. Aiken, I think, is a hold, it being a keeper in the centers. And we have a bunch of those guys now. If you're sitting with Burton, Aiken, Taylor May, Tungor, there's plenty of those guys that can really dominate for you in the centers. So maybe a Tungor or a Taylor May has, that you could potentially use them to trade on and trade up or trade down to other assets, I think, in this week. So very, very interesting overall for the three teams. Obviously a big move from my squad with one extra player and just picking the right guys, and getting a little bit lucky with Taumalolo after being unlucky with him the few weeks before. But that's right, onwards and upwards for the people squad. We will improve from here we're set up well enough to be able to dominate this next bunch of weeks. My team has 2 less trades than the head-to-head and also the people squad, but yeah, it's going to be a fun 5 or 6 week period there. Getting through this origin selections, origin buy period, and then building our strongest teams heading into round 18, 19, and 20. So I wish you all the best of luck, and I hope you enjoyed watching this. Subscribe, like this video. I really appreciate it, and we'll catch you in the next one, guys. See you later.